Hello, greetings, welcome, and salutations to one of the last tech talks for at least a while. If you weren't aware, actually, tomorrow, June 30th, is the final day of the Tech Cafe's contract. It will be ending tomorrow. As for the future of the Tech Cafe, it's unclear, but at least consider this an indefinite hiatus. If you, I'm not going to get too much into retrospective feeling, closure, conclusiveness. In this webinar, this is just going to be one about just another techie thing, but there is a wellness webinar made by our wellness coordinator, Shane Rossi, which should be on the channel. I believe it's up already, which is sort of like a retrospective of all the stuff that's gone down and some of the resources which will remain to be available to anyone. So for this one today, it is going to be another Excel little course. We've done a couple, maybe 2 or 3 already, but this one's different. This one we're going to be talking about some logical statements and Vlookup, and it's going to be from this advanced course here. It's going to be the template in which we will be exploring and learning these techniques. Hopefully I'll make it all the way to Vlookup. Otherwise there are other tutorials. Fun fact about Vlookup, you're basically considered at least intermediate at Excel if you can handle Vlookup. And for some people, I mean, not for everybody, but it'll impress quite a few people. And it's pretty useful when you got a big old database and you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. Anywho, let's get this one started. Yeah, so today we're going to learn about and use advanced Excel functions such as if, or, and, as well as Vlookup. We are also going to learn how to nest these formulas with others to perform complex calculations, as in multiple steps and stuff like that. So what we already know from the old basic course or earlier webinars is that Excel is a program used to create spreadsheets. Remember the big old endless sheets with all the little cells. Excel files are called workbooks, which are divided into sheets, sort of like pages. Each sheet is divided into thousands of cells, which do not interact without using formulas. So they're all their own unique little bubble universes, unless instructed otherwise. Yeah, remember that concept. So formulas can be simple or complex and used for both math and logical equations. And yeah, you know, remember that with the equal sign 2 plus 2 or equal sign A1 plus A2, that stuff. Oh, there's some examples here. Formulas always start with an equal sign. Example, equal sign A1 plus A2 and equal sign sum, parenthetical G1 through G5, closing parenthetical. So that's if you want to add up everything that is a part of or in between that set right there. Yep. And so here's how we've used formulas before. We've learned how to use Excel to do math, adding A1 plus A2, or the equal sign sum, parenthetical A1 through A5. as well as subtracting, like a C1 minus C2, multiplying E1 times E2. Remember using the star instead of the X because that would be labeled for one of the cell locations. And another way to multiply a bunch of numbers together would be equal sign product, parenthetical E1 through E5, starting point, ending point, and dividing, which is equal sign, for example, equal sign G1 slash G2, sort of like fractions and stuff like that, remember. So yeah, we've also learned how we can copy and paste formulas by using the Control C hotkey function to copy and the Control V as in victory to paste, and that those formulas change as they move around a sheet, like the relative location thingy, if you remember that. Review quiz, yeah, you know. So to multiply with Excel, like if you want to multiply, actually wait, yeah, there it is. So that's how that would look. I don't have Excel up right now, but remember A1 times A2, sum C1, C5. Yep. So yeah, that's the stuff we know now. Sans, what else is it? Oh, making charts, of course. Making charts is the other one. So here is using formulas for logic. The formulas we'll use today help make determinations based on a few simple ideas. Is something true or false? Like, is my hair red? True or false? Is something greater than something else? As in, is 4 bigger than 5? Is something less than something else? Is 3 smaller than 5? Is something equal to something else? Did my answers match? And stuff like that. Just having it come back with a yes or a nah. Logical symbols. The symbols we use for greater than is that thing. I'm not sure what I forgot what they're called, but you know, it's the alligator always eats what's bigger. The bird pecks at what's smaller. You know, it could look like a beak or an alligator mouth. It's classic elementary school mnemonic. So yeah, greater than is that, and so you would get that symbol by holding shift and pressing the key one would press when if they wanted to get a period, and the other one for less than is the same but the other direction, and that would make that appear by holding shift and pressing the comma key. The symbol we use for equal to is the equal sign, so that is up in the upper right hand corner area towards the end of the number keys at the top. Yeah, 5 is equal to 5. Blah, blah, blah. Stacking logical symbols. So there are signs in math for like greater than and equal to, less than and equal to. We don't have those on the keyboard. We get those by stacking them. So the simple stack for greater than or equal to is that you add them both together. I can't really, oops. You just sort of put them next to each other and it works. So yeah, we put the equal sign after the greater sign because it's easier to remember. The symbol for less than or equal to is the other sign and then an equal sign. And Excel understands those symbols. So to recap, alligator, bird, equal sign, having those things together, The logical formulas. The formulas we'll be learning today are the OR formula, which turns true if either the multiple criteria are met. the AND formula, which returns true only if all of the multiple criteria are met. So yeah, well, you'll see that later. And the IF formula, which determines whether or not a value meets certain criteria and returns an answer you specify based on that determination. So it's like, if this, then that, you know. So the OR formula. The OR formula has two answers, true or false. The OR formula returns true if any of the criteria you choose are met. The OR formula returns false if none of the criteria you choose are met. So if one or the other is true, like, okay, I have a water bottle here. It's green, has water in it. So if asking Excel the OR thing, is my water bottle green or full of water? It can just be like, it'll be like, yes, it is. That is true. Yeah. Even if it were a different color or empty. So the formula has a couple steps to it. Let's take it one by one. Okay, so yeah, this is what it looks like. The blue and the green and the purple and the red are all conveniently color-coded here. So all formulas start with an equal sign. After the equal sign, we write the kind of formula you want. In this case, it is OR, so start there, equal sign OR. Then you have the open parenthetical and the cell location, whatever you're examining. And next you pick the logical test. Is it greater than, less than, equal to? Finally, we set the value in a quotation mark to make sure it's exact. So it's like whatever you're checking for, like is it less than or greater than or equal to whatever that value may be. A value could be either a word or a number. First logical requirement is done, and then you do it twice, and then you use the same format to write the second logical requirement, and you close the parentheses. So here is an example of an OR formula. The first OR formula example is a test to see whether the value of the color column is blue or red. The OR formula in this case is as such. Equal sign OR, open parenthetical B3, so it's examining, yeah, right there, blue, and B3 equals red. So if it says blue or red, it'll come out true. When you're using B3, the first entry of the column is the cell is B3. You can copy and paste this down the whole list, and we'll use relative location to make it all work and expect them all going downwards. Yeah, so as you can see, the blue says true, yellow says false, green says false, red is true, blue is true, and purple is false. And OR example 2. The OR formula in this example is to see whether the value in the size column is tall or small. The OR formula in this case is as such. Equal sign OR, open parenthetical E3 equals quote tall, end quote, comma, E3 equals quote small, end quote, close parenthetical. So we got the cell location, the logical test, and the value twice. And the formula is copied and pasted down the length, the whole table. So as we can see, next to tall, true, small, true, tiny, false, little, false, small, true, middle is false. OR formula example 3. This example in two columns looks in two columns to satisfy its argument. So you can have the same value but different location. So it's checking to see, does this or this say this? We're looking to see if the word brown appears in either column. In this case, the OR formula looks like a this. equal sign or open parenthetical I3 equals open parenthetical brown close quote brown end quote comma J3 equals quote brown end quote close parenthetical. What has changed? Well, I told you what changed. If it says brown in either one, rather than, so yeah, it's two different locations with the same value rather than vice versa. Or formula, try it. Okay, so I have a sheet. Okay, iTunes. Yes, here we go. Open that up a little more. There we go. So let's figure out if these folk are brother and sister. So we want to see if there is a yes in either of those formulas. So let's do an equal sign and an or. Just do all capitals just because. Open parenthetical. And the first sale location is N3. N3. And we want to say if definitively, I mean, you can't be less than yes or more than yes. Or, I don't know. You know what I mean. Or maybe you don't. Comma. And then we'll check O3 equals E. So that's what we're checking for. So that's a true. Because Maddie has a sister. So let us do a Control C, and we got the little ants crawling around there. And we can go down here and do a Control V, and there's a false because there is no, it doesn't say yes in either of them. And beep, and then we can just boop. And there we go. We just or statemented that little thing, so you can see right there what's true and what's false. Doop. And boop. 17. Okay. Yep. Hooray! There we go. So here is the AND formula, which is a little different. It's just a bit more picky. It wants to have all of its criteria met, all two. In this case, it can have more than two, I believe. The AND formula only has two answers, true or false. The AND formula returns true if all the criteria you choose are met. The AND formula returns false if fewer than all the criteria you choose are met. The AND formula looks just like the OR formula, except there is an AND in the front instead of an OR. See at the front, the blue part. So yeah, it's the same cell logic value, with the logical test, the location, and the value that we're dealing with. And the logical test is just greater than, less than, or equal to, or the greater than or equal to thing with the alligator and the bird and the equal sign. So, yes. The first AND formula test is to see if a score is between 95 and 100. The AND formula is written as such. Equal sign AND B19 is greater than or equal to 5. Where B19 is greater than or less than or equal to 100. So if it's between those two, it'll come with the true. This formula is greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, so the scores 95 and 100 are included. So there you go. You can see all that. And there are other ones to see if someone is in between the ages of 13, and 19. So E19 is greater than or equal to 13 and less than and equal to 19. This formula is greater than and equal to and less than or equal to, so the ages 13 and 19 are included. This is example, just like that other one we used, where it has multiple locations and one value which you're checking for. So this is to see if someone has brown hair and brown eyes, as you can see. So this example is in 2 columns to satisfy its argument. It looks in 2 columns. We're looking to see if the word brown appears in both columns. And in this case, the and formula looks like this. Equal sign and, open parenthetical, I-19 equals, quote, brown, end quote, comma. J-19 equals, quote, brown, end quote, closing parenthetical. Beep. So now we get to try it. What are we testing? Now we want to see if they're both. In this table, we want to see if the word yes appears in the N column and the O column. Try for cell P19. So this is back in the little worksheet. Beep. Boop, 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 boop. P19, very convenient. All right. Equal sign and open parenthetical. P19 equals oh, excuse me. Yes. Oh, quote. Yes. End quote. Comma. P. No. O 19. Oh, excuse me. Not P19 we're looking at. There we go. Color coding. Equals. Should be false. Yay! Okay, so there we go. Let's test it here. True. Hurrah. And that should be true as well. And baboosh. Excelente. So, the or and and formulas are logical tests that return true or false. Or looks for any of the values you request and is written like this. You've seen that. And looks at all the values you request and is written like this. Equal sign and cell logic value, comma cell logic value. The if formula. The if formula is a logical test that returns answers based on the results of that test. The if formula checks one cell, then gives you a customizable answer. You determine this answer by writing it into the formula. Let's look at steps to write the if formula. So, this is a bit different. It has the same logic as before, cell logic value, but then the next comma, since we're only inspecting one cell, is the quote for if true, it says that, and if false, is that. Well, what do you want it to say? Do you want it to say that or that? So, the first if formula test to see if someone is 18 or older, then returns yes if they are and no if they are not. The if formula is written as such. If C35 is greater than or equal to 18, comma, quote, yes, end quote, comma, quote, no, end quote, close parenthetical. So anyone who is 18 or older gets a little yes over there on the side, as you can see. The if formula tests to see if a score is 70 or higher, then returns pass if it is, and fail if it is not. The if formula is written as such: equal sign if, open parenthetical G35 is greater than or equal to 70, it's a pass, otherwise it's a fail. Let's try it. Let's see. All right. Deep. Let's look back at that worksheet. Oh. Let's delete all that then. Beep, boop, 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 boop. All right. Equal sign if. So the logical test is K35 is what we're inspecting. And we want to see if it is greater than or equal to. So greater than, gobbling it up, equal to and then do I want to say true or false? I think that's the case. I did this wrong. What is it that I have done? I don't need quotes on that. Oh, golly. Yeah, this will happen. There we go. Okay, yeah. I wasn't supposed to put the quotes around 5. That was the issue. Na, 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 na. So that is an if logical test. Beep, 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 beep. Boop, boop. Yep. There we go. Much better. So, let's see. Oh, got about like 3 minutes left. Do a little Vlookup. So Vlookup is a formula we use to find a needle in a haystack. Vlookup is short for vertical lookup. It checks vertically on the first column of a table and only the first column. This means that if we know the value in the first column of the table, we can find everything in the rows next to it. It looks like these. Equal sign Vlookup, quote value, then data range, and then the column number, which what we're looking for. And we always want an exact match, so the last part is the word false. So it looks like this. To the right, we have a big table. Look for specific data in the table is troublesome. That's why we have Vlookup. In this example, let's figure out what kind of pet Shawna has. Look in Vlookup. You can use the formula, look up in reference, and let's just try it. So, what color are Abner's eyes? And the data range, we start at the upper left hand corner, which would be B21, B, dollar signs for absolutes through F36. Cha-ching. And we are looking for I's, which is the D column. No, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4. Oh, I didn't use enough parentheticals. Yeah, do it. And he's blonde. There we go. So yeah, takes a couple steps, but yeah, it's the fourth column of them all. Anywho, that is a brief little intro to the logical statements and VLOOKUPs. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Have a good one.